I was told when I was younger to quit sticking my head up in the clouds, to get my head out of the clouds, to quit being a dreamer because I was only going to get disappointed and get hurt. Well, you know what? Elite performers live there. And I've always lived there, but after being torn down so many times, you start to believe that maybe that's reality, especially when it's coming from people that really believe in you and that you look up to. So, hello, and thank you for joining us on the Old Man Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Flint Anderson. And if you are returning, I appreciate you coming back to enjoy some more of my wisdom and stupid stories and maybe the occasional dad joke. If it's your first time here and you don't know me, then hopefully you'll find some information and a reason to stay with us. So today I want to talk about how to be an elite performer and what does that mean? Or be careful what you write on your bathroom mirror. It's a very personal reason for that. And I have a very, very good reason for wanting to explain the power of this. And that being an elite performer is really easy to say. And a lot of people, they really want to be that. Not everybody does, but if you do, you have a burning desire to do more, to be more than what you are, and to create more than what is in your current reality. What does that mean exactly? And how do you make that happen? Well, for me, I needed a catalyst. I needed somebody to show me. I'd always believed in myself, and Des has believed in me, her in not her entire life, but the entire time that we've been together. So I can't discount that at all. She's seen something in me even when I didn't see it in myself. I had a lot of fire when I was younger and a lot of passion, and it was mostly because I had nothing to lose when I was in my early 20s. I mean, I grew up with nothing. I grew up very poor. There was nothing to lose, so I took bold risks. I made big decisions, and I made some really, really big shit happen at a very young age. I'm very proud of that, and I did it my own way, and I was super excited about it. Got into life and still continued to do things my own way, but that got tempered a little bit somewhere along the way. And it didn't suck. Our life has never sucked. There's been some struggles over the years, but it's never been terrible. But as the kids got older, as I started aging out of the house, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? What's my purpose? What do I want to be? Well, that catalyst for me was a couple of events that showed me that what I was thinking about, that what I wanted to be, that what I wanted to do was a reality. And just simply by being around those people that were doing it, that were living it, and not only just living it, they were taking it for granted. They weren't flaunting it in front of anybody's face. It was their existence. It was what they did. And it had a profound impact on me. And I know Des gets irritated sometimes because she's been telling me that the entire time. She thinks I wasn't listening to her. And part of the time I wasn't listening to her, to be completely honest. I should have been, but I wasn't. And part of it was just belief. Part of it was, okay, do I still have that in me? Am I still willing to put in the effort? Because, I mean, let's face it, guys, after we've raised a family and our kids are getting older and aging out, I mean, we're tired. And it's like, okay, are we gonna be done, or what are we gonna do? What we don't realize is the fact that we're tired is not because we don't have any energy. It's because we don't have any motivation. We don't have any desire. We're not really running after our own goals anymore, and we haven't been for a really long time. So what did I do? I got home and I wrote the word savage on my bathroom mirror. I have a picture of it somewhere. No, I don't know where. Maybe I'll share it one day. I'll find it. But I don't know. What did that mean at the time? It meant that, you know what? It's time for me to be a savage. It's time for me to reconnect with my roots. I didn't need to learn anything different about how to be a savage. I didn't need to learn how to be aggressive. I knew all of that already. It's just part of who I am. But I needed to be reminded every day that it was time to be that savage again. It was time to go after whatever I wanted. And it was there, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months. And I took it down. One day I was done with it. Well, what did it mean? Did it really do anything? Well, you know what? Reading that every day while I was brushing my teeth, that really helped alter my mindset. It helped put me in the right frame of mind. It helped guide me and direct me as to where I needed to go. So what I put up next? It was a month, maybe so. And then one morning I wrote on the mirror, I am an elite performer. Guys, I had no idea what I was doing. None. There's a lot of power in reading something every single day. Your brain starts to define that as your reality. So every day I read for 2 to 4 minutes, depending on how often I brush my teeth that day. I am an elite performer. I read it every time I washed my hands, every time I went to the bathroom. There is so much power in what you tell yourself. I can't even begin to explain it. I'm going to share my story, and this is just a piece, maybe a few little pieces, and I'll write some notes, and you're going to see me look up from time to time because I've got them on the screen in front of me. But there's so much power in what you tell yourself every day, and whether it's positive or whether it's negative, and you have got to make sure that what you're telling yourself is in line with where you want to go. I always wanted to be an elite performer. And the funny thing is that once I actually dug in and realized what it takes to be an elite performer, I'd already been there for a while. I just didn't know it. That's a whole different thing about making sure you set specific goals so you know when you hit them. Otherwise, you keep running after something. It's like, it'd be like running a marathon and running 3 miles past the finish line because you weren't sure you were done yet. What does it mean to be an elite performer? What does it mean to post on your mirror what you want? Well, if you want to be an elite performer, and this is what I'm going to talk about specifically, you have to act like an elite performer. You have to think like an elite performer, and you have to perform like an elite performer. What does that mean? You have to automatically be good at everything and do more than anybody else. You do have to do more than most of the people around you, not necessarily anybody else, because there's always somebody that's going to be doing more. But you have to perform at a higher level. You've got to perform more frequently. You have to perform more. You have to do more. You have to be better at what you're doing. And you have to get real specific about where you're going and what you're wanting to do. These are elite behaviors. These are elite requirements. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You have to perform in a certain manner in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And if you want to be an elite performer, you know what? Not only do you have to do what everybody else is doing to get where they're at and what you've done to get where you're at, well, now you have to step up the game and you've got to do even more because you're about to operate at a higher level. It's worth it, but I did not truly understand what I was putting on the mirror when I put it up there. And it took a while for it to start showing up. And I started to look at things differently. And I was like, okay, well, is this really where I need to be spending my time? Is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I should be doing? And change was required to answer those questions. Actually, the answers to the questions were pretty easy. Change was required to implement the answers to the questions, and that was really the challenge. So, how do you change yourself? How do you implement? How do you make different things happen? Well, you know what? As my go-to is, I started writing down. I started trying to figure out what I needed to do differently. I started analyzing myself. What habits are lending help to this? What habits are not lending help to this? And I had to alter the ones that could be changed. And I had to just stop some of the habits that weren't helping. And I had to accept the fact, and this may not be a struggle for everybody, but it was for me just because of my background and where I came from and understanding anytime somebody, I don't know, there's a better way to explain this. Here's how I'm going to explain this. I was told when I was younger to quit sticking my head up in the clouds, to get my head out of the clouds, to quit being a dreamer because I was only going to get disappointed and get hurt. Well, you know what? Elite performers live there. And I've always lived there, but after being torn down so many times, you start to believe that maybe that's reality, especially when it's coming from people that really believe in you and that you look up to. So I had to alter the way that I was thinking. Even at my age, I had to alter the way that I was thinking. I had to accept the fact that, you know what, I'm not operating on the same level. So I need to do different things. And a lot of that requires bigger dreams. It requires bigger goals. It requires more out of me than I'd ever given before. And I thought I'd given a lot before, but a lot of what I'd done in the past was out of desperation, or it was just straight out of recklessness. And I don't mean recklessness is a bad thing, because sometimes there is a place to be reckless. What I mean is I didn't have anything to lose when I was younger. If I fell flat on my face, I was back to the beginning. It wasn't like it was taking anything away from me. Well, once you've built a life and a family and you have established yourself, now you have a little bit to lose. So make sure that whenever you're putting your goals and your stuff and yourself and your truths in front of you, that you are working them and that you are willing to make the sacrifices you need to make. And I'm not meaning sacrifice your family, but you know what? Sometimes you're going to have to do stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense to people. And it may not make sense to anybody. Yeah, if you got a spouse in your life, you got a significant other, make sure you talk about it with them and make sure that they're on board with it. And they may not believe in it at first, and that's okay, as long as they don't stand in your way. That's the important thing. And if it's not the right decision for you to go after what you're going after right then and to become that elite performer in the way that you think you want to right then, doesn't mean you have to stop. It just means you have to alter what you're doing to fit your reality right now. But you can still grow and become the person that you need to become. So what do you have to do to be an elite performer? After all of that emotional turmoil, and every bit of that went through my head, and a lot of it probably more than once, keeping me awake at night, making me think about different things, making me, what I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Or the really thing is it's self-doubt. And a lot of people call this imposter syndrome. They call it, we got a bunch of fancy names for it, but basically it's the time whenever you're sitting there alone in the dark going, who the hell am I to be doing this? Who am I to be stepping up and doing this and thinking I can lead people or thinking that I can do this or thinking I can do that? Who am I? I'm putting on airs. Heard that a lot when I was younger too. And I hate that statement, but it comes to mind quite often, unfortunately, because the way that we're programmed doesn't really leave us, even once we've reprogrammed it. We just learn to deal with it. So once you've gone through all of that emotional stuff, now you're down to the physical piece. Okay, well, what do I have to do? I've got to step up my game. I have to do more. I have to be more. Usually that involves some learning. Usually that involves doing things that are slightly uncomfortable, and that's okay. But you got to make sure that while you're doing these uncomfortable things, that you're learning from them and you're getting better at them consistently. And eventually you'll realize that the elite performance is not being perfect at everything. It just means operating at a higher level. It means surrounding yourself with resources and that can implement the things that you don't necessarily need to implement yourself, and developing the wisdom within yourself to understand the difference between something that you need to do and something that you can let somebody else do around you or that you can pay somebody else to do. And focusing truly on the tasks that make you that elite performer. Once you start seeing yourself as a true elite performer, you'll understand the power that discipline holds over this, because the discipline is what's going to get you there on the front side. You don't have to be an elite performer to have discipline. Discipline is just a choice. It's a choice when you get out of bed in the morning. It's a choice whenever you go to bed in the evening, whenever you go to the gym, whenever you work out. Discipline is a choice. Discipline is not a skill. Discipline can be learned, but it's not inherent. It's something you just choose to do. That level of discipline applied to higher goals and higher standards creates an elite performer mindset. Once you have established the discipline and then you start applying it to higher goals, higher tasks, bigger things, then and only then can you understand that you are manifesting yourself in reality as the elite performer that you've seen in your head the whole time. That's when you start to see things. That's when other people start to see things. That's when other people start to respect your time more. You have to make sure that you guard that and protect that discipline by engaging every day. The day that you have to tell somebody that they owe you respect, you never had it in the first place. They should just give it to you once you show up. And being an elite performer, people respect elite performers. People respect folks that operate at a higher level, because that is the level of leadership that people are looking for in today's society right now. But nobody's going to give you permission to do that. Nobody's going to give you permission to be that person. Quite the opposite, actually, because people around you, they know your bullshit. They know your background. They know your story. They know who you used to be. And they're like, oh, who the hell are you trying to do this? And that sound familiar because you were telling yourself that last night before you went to bed. They know you. They're going to try and tear you down. You got to have the discipline and the ability to do it anyway. You got to move on. You got to move up. You got to do what you need to do. So Motivation is required at first, but that won't get you there forever. Excitement doesn't matter at all. Nobody's ever excited about a crap ton of work where people are going to look down upon you, where people are going to hold you back, they're going to ridicule you, they're going to make fun of you. That's not excitement. Excitement is not required at all. What you want to do today doesn't matter. You execute. Because what you want to do today is often not in line with what you need to do to maintain your status as an elite performer, to maintain your status as somebody who operates at a higher level. And understand, folks, whenever I'm talking about an elite performer, I'm not talking about being better than anybody else, because literally anybody that chooses to can be an elite performer in their life. Because I'm just talking about operating at your highest standard possible, your highest standard possible, nobody else's. You set the rules, you set the boundaries, you set the goals, you engage, you create the tasks, and you execute on those tasks. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can define that for you. Not your spouse, not your parents, nobody. You choose at what level you operate. Everything else fades into the background after that. Nothing else matters but being that person that you see in your head, that person that you see in your mind's eye. That's what matters. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean for me? After a while, I became obsessed. And I've talked about this before, but the obsession and the focus, those are different versions of the same exact thing. Focus is looking at something and just excluding everything else, letting everything else fade into the background. Obsession is acting on that focus every day in a methodical manner with a defined outcome. That's a goal. That's an implementation of a goal. And that's all that we're really talking about, because, you don't have to wait. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have perfect circumstances. You can change your life tomorrow by what you write on the bathroom mirror tonight. Figure out what you really want. And it doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter how silly it is. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. The opposite of this is also true. It doesn't matter how big it is. It should scare the shit out of you if you're going to write some big stuff up there, because it scared the shit out of me. I wasn't really sure what I was putting up there, but I knew that it made me uncomfortable, and I was okay with that. But you know what? If it's just one thing you want to do differently tomorrow, then write it down. And as soon as you've accomplished it, erase it and put something just a little bit bigger. But make sure that you're looking at it every day. That power and that mindset will grow, and you will grow. And all of a sudden you put bigger goals and you put bigger goals. But be careful what you write up there, because what you write up there is what you're going to achieve, because your mind is going to start finding ways to make that happen. This is going to get you out of bed early. This is going to get you, it wakes me up in the middle of the night. I send myself notes in the middle of the night. I used to keep a notepad beside the bed, but my handwriting is bad enough when I'm awake. It's terrible when I'm asleep. I'd rather try and interpret voice to text messages to myself when I wake up in the morning. But it's going to get you up in the middle of the night. It's going to keep you up. It's going to give you that power. It's going to ignite a flame inside of you that you don't even know is there. But once that thing wakes up, remember, you cannot put that beast back to sleep. Once it's awake, you better act on it. You better execute on it, because if you don't, you are going to make yourself miserable, because you're going to know that you're better than what you are. You're going to know that you're capable of more than what you're doing right now. And you're also going to know that you're not doing shit about it. I know this because I've been both sides of this. I've been that guy that talked a big game and had big dreams and acted on them for a while and then shut it down, gave up, didn't feel like I was worthy, didn't want to put in the work, got lazy. I don't know. A list of excuses. None of them really matter. But all it does is make you feel like shit. You really don't want to do that. You want to be yourself. You want to be true to yourself. You want to keep promises to yourself. And the thing about writing stuff on the bathroom mirror, the thing about, for me, writing I am an elite performer on the bathroom mirror was not just because I saw it every day. But you know what? Des saw it every day. She saw it just as often as I did. And she knew that I wrote that for myself. So now, not only was I making a commitment to myself, but I was making a commitment to her without even saying anything. She knew what I was working on. She also knew if I wasn't working on it. And folks, our spouses, our significant others don't want to see us disappointed. They don't want to see us let ourselves down again. They don't want to be let down again. So when I tell you to be careful what you write on the bathroom mirror, be careful what you write on the bathroom mirror. But that does not mean don't do it. Define your goals. Define the person that you want to be. Define your own reality. Write it down. Make your plan and execute that plan every day. Your life will change for the better. I love y'all.